Today we are going to talk about Chapter 5, Lesson 3. These are the properties of numbers that are important for us to know, and most of this should be a review for you. So you're going to take these notes in your note packet in the chart that's available for you. So the first property we want to talk about is the commutative property. Please note, this is commutative. A lot of people accidentally write commutative. There is no N in this word. Commutative property says that changing the order does not change or affect the sum or the product. So the word commute is the root word of commutative, and that means to change your location or to change order. So we're working on changing the order of the numbers in an addition or multiplication problem, and we get the same answer. We can test that. These are your examples you're going to write into your notes. The commutative property of addition, we've got two examples, 3 plus 5, we know that's 8. 5 plus 3 is also equal to 8, so changing the order did not change that sum. We can get a little bit tougher too. We can throw variables in there. 4a plus b is the same as b plus 4a. We've got the 4a term and the b term changing places, but our sum would still be the same. The commutative property of multiplication works the same way. 6 times 8 is going to get us the same product as 8 times 6. We know they're both equal to 48. And we can show that with a little bit of algebra down here. CD, which means C times D, is equal to DC. D times C. So there's your commutative property. The associative property. Associative, the root word here is associate. And associating deals with groups or grouping. So this property says that changing the grouping does not change the sum or product. And we have to think about our grouping symbols in math. The one you see used the most is parentheses. So what this is talking about is changing the parentheses and where they are in the math problem, but not changing the order. So here's our example. The associative property of addition. Notice these are all addition signs. No subtraction, multiplication, or division. Just all addition. So if in the first problem, we have 7 plus the quantity of 5 plus 9. Now we're changing it to the quantity of 7 plus 5 plus 9. It changes which addition we do first, but we will still get the same answer. Right here, 5 plus 9 is 14, plus 7 is 21. On this side, 7 plus 5 is 12, plus 9 is 21. Same examples we can use with a little bit of algebra. Again, in this set of parentheses, we've got 2f plus 3. Over here, we've changed the parentheses to put the e plus 2f inside, but we did not change the order of the terms. If you take a look, e comes first, 2f comes second, 3 comes third. So be careful. We have to be only changing the grouping, not the order, for this property. Multiplication example, 6 times the quantity of 9 times 10. Now in this side we have the 6 times 9 in parentheses and multiply that by 10. Either way we get 540. And down here same thing, j times k is in the parentheses. Over here h times j is in the parentheses. We're still going to get the same product. Third property is called the additive identity property. The word identity, I like to think of your identity as being who you are. And the additive identity property tells us that we're going to do a math problem, but we're not going to change the number. We're not going to change what that number is. And the only way we can do a math problem and still get the same result is if we are adding 0. So that's what the additive identity tells us. Adding 0 to a number does not change the sum. Important note for you here, 0 is what we call the additive identity number. So here's our examples. Additive identity property. 14 plus 0, we get 14. We can do this with a little more complicated example as well. 3m plus 0 gets us 3m. So remember, identity is who you are, not changing who you are. So if we are adding something to a number and not changing it, we must be adding 0. Next is the multiplicative identity property. This word I want you to practice saying for tomorrow. We say multiplicative. Multiplicative identity, same thing. We've got the identity property going on. So this time we want to do a multiplication problem and keep the identity of the number the same. And the only number we can multiply by and not change the number or the value of the original number is 1. So multiplying a number by 1 does not change the product. That is our multiplicative identity property. An important note for you, 1 is called the multiplicative identity number, and for that reason we can take 8 times 1. It does not change our 8, so it stays the same. We can put the 1 out front because of the commutative property. 1 times negative 9y is negative 9y. So here's your more complicated algebraic example. Last property for us to talk about today is called the zero product property. This is also sometimes called the multiplicative property of 0. They mean the same thing. It means we are multiplying by 0. Product means to multiply. So 0 times a number gets us 0 no matter what. So the product of 0 and any number will always be 0. Zero product property, 18 times 0 is 0. Here's our more sophisticated example, the quantity of 7m plus 9. Well, if we multiply that whole quantity by 0, it's going to wipe the whole thing out. It's going to get us 0. These are your properties. They're important to know. I'm not going to give you a form for tonight, but I do want you to know your properties for tomorrow and make sure that your chart is filled out and you are ready to review.